I'd like to call the regular council meeting for the town of Bay-Westfield on Monday, October 14th, 2025 to order at 7 o'clock p.m. We respectfully acknowledge that Bay-Westfield exists on the traditional Wolastoqey land. The lands of Wabanaki people are recognized in a series of peace and friendship treaties to establish an ongoing relationship of peace, friendship, and mutual respect between equal nations. The river that runs by our town is known as Wolastoq, along which live Wolastoqey, the people of the beautiful and bountiful river. We, the staff and elected representatives, pay respect to the elders past and present and descendants of this land. Good evening, everyone. I want to start tonight by highlighting our upcoming Fall Fest, which begins next week. This event has become a really great celebration of community spirit, and it's a time to connect with your neighbors, your friends, enjoy local entertainment, and showcase a lot that Bay-Westfield has to offer. Events like this also play a really important role in supporting our local businesses. So when people come out to enjoy the festivities, they're dining locally, they're shopping locally, and they're help keeping our local economy strong and our businesses vibrant. So I encourage everyone to get out, take part, and enjoy everything that our team and volunteers have planned. And thank you in advance to the staff team, our volunteer team, and all of the businesses that are taking part in Fall Fest over the next little while. And as we celebrate what makes our community special, we're also looking ahead to a bit more of a challenging part of our municipal year, and that's budget season. Like households and businesses everywhere, the town is feeling the impact of rising costs across the board. Our revenues have been frozen, but our expenses continue to climb, and that's everything from materials and fuel to insurance and wages. So I'm gonna be frank. That means we're facing some very difficult choices this year. We're working very hard to be fiscally responsible while also being sensitive to the fact that life has become unaffordable for so many. The reality is we are balancing between potential tax increases and service reductions, neither of which is easy. Please note that we're doing our very best to make thoughtful, transparent decisions that protect the services that our residents rely on while maintaining the financial stability of our town. So thank you to the council, thank you to staff and all of our residents for your understanding and your continued engagement as we navigate these challenges together. And in the meantime, let's look forward to Fall Fest coming up, a much needed opportunity to come together, celebrate community, and support one another. Item 4, record of attendance. Let the record reflect that we have full attendance of council here this evening. Item 5, agenda approval. The motion is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield approve the agenda of October 14th, 2025 as presented. Do I have a mover? Councillor Bailmans, thank you. Do I have a Councillor Balcom? Thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 6, disclosure of conflict of interest. Are there any? There being none, we'll move on to item 7, public hearings, presentations, delegations, petitions. There being none this time, we'll move on to item 8, which is minutes of previous meeting. 8A, regular council minutes of September 22nd, 2025. The motion is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of September 22nd, 2025 as presented. Do I have a mover? Councillor McIntosh-Lawrence, seconded by Deputy Mayor Toole. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. 8B, email poll, appointment of bylaw officer. The motion was that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield ratify the email poll, appointment of bylaw officers. Do I have a mover? Councillor Bellmans, thank you. In the second, Councillor McIntosh-Lawrence. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Item 9, unfinished business. There being none, we'll move on to item 10, bylaws. 10A, GG-001, council procedures and organization bylaw amendment. And I'll pass this over to the CEO before I read the motion.
Thank you, Your Worship. just doing some cleaning up based on council's experience using the council procedure and organization bylaw. And so some of the things that we've included for the first reading is that definitions have been introduced or strengthened to reduce or eliminate ambiguity. The deputy mayor appointment, with the creation of Ward 2 in 2023, it is impossible for that councillor to become deputy mayor. Council asked me to provide options regarding what's a different way of selecting mayor so that everybody has an opportunity to become deputy mayor, and came up with 3. The mayor can just decide based on merit or privilege or prerogative, but I like to call it merit. It could be council just nominates someone and they have an open vote. So Councillor A can nominate Councillor C, Councillor B nominates Councillor D, and there could be a 4-3 vote. So that's one example. And then finally, rotational appointments among councillors, so that everybody is councillor for 8 months. In theory, council's term is only 48 months, so that would provide everybody with an equal opportunity to be deputy mayor. There are seasons where the responsibilities of the deputy mayor can be heavy, but there's also lots of privileges that the deputy mayor can take advantage of as well. So, does council want everybody to take a turn or not? And that would be it. My own experience when I was mayor is the deputy mayor changed every month. That was way too frequent. Like, it was more of a headache for me than anything. But 8 months, you can do a decent update. They have a fair run at it, and then they can go along. So that's there. I talked about reducing and eliminating ambiguity. There was some of that around when special emergency meetings may be called, including the requirements to adopt an agenda, so the way it's currently read. We just have one councillor's, we could be having an emergency going on, and we want to discuss whatever it is we want to do. Just one councillor says, no, I don't want to do that. So we created a structure to bypass that. And then one of the other ambiguous areas was that if, this hasn't happened yet, but what happens if both the mayor and deputy mayor are absent that night? So we know that the mayor, she says, oh, well, I'm in X place. The deputy mayor knows, but her son has an accident and she has to deal with that. So now we have a procedure in place. How is a new chair of the meeting selected? So that's it in a nutshell. Legal did provide support, and poor governance is more expensive than good governance. So that's it, Your Worship.
Thank you, John. I'll do the first reading, get a mover and a seconder, then open the floor. First reading by title, GG-001, Council Procedures and Organization Bylaw. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Bay-Westfield approves the first reading of GG-001, Council Procedures and Organization Bylaw, with the understanding that changes will be incorporated into the next draft reflecting Council's direction. And do I have a mover? Councillor Berkey, thank you. Second from Councillor Balcom. Do you have any questions or comments on the motion? I'd like to vacate the chair just for a moment, because I do have a comment, if that's okay. That's great. I really like the options for deputy mayor, but I'm incredibly uncomfortable with the part where it says that, I think it's on the 8-month rotation, where the mayor shall provide a performance review to the rotating deputy mayor. I believe that when it comes to council, the only performance review comes every 4 years at the hands of the voter. So I would like to see that amendment made. The other thing that I wanted to point out was under question of privilege. I think that should be applicable to libelous or I can't remember what the actual word was, but I think it was libelous comments, not just to council, but towards staff during a council meeting as well. I think that should be contemplated in a procedural bylaw. And that's all I have. Thank you very much. I think that's my question.
So just for clarification, the mayor is referencing Can't find it, I made a note. Question of privilege, which is on the second page, and it's subsection M. Question of privilege means any scandalous or libelous reflection on the proceedings of council or any member, per the mayor or staff member, would be what she is suggesting.
Correct. I believe we have an obligation to protect staff as well as our council members. Councilor McIntosh Lawrence?
I just have a question about special meetings and emergency meetings. For special meetings, it's saying that the mayor or the mayor and 3 councillors can call a special meeting.
So, sorry,
Is there ever a scenario when just councillors can call a special meeting?
So, yes, I don't have that section in front of me because Nick and I
Okay,
had,
maybe I'm reading it wrong.
Nick and I had more than one conversation about this. The way it did read is took the mayor, members of council. Now, I can go to the mayor, we have a wildfire, really like to have an emergency meeting pronto. She can call it in her absence, or not in her absence, but say if she's absent, the deputy mayor's in place, the deputy mayor. But say council wants an emergency or special meeting for a different reason, then it can be 3 councillors. So there is that there. I thought we caught up the language there. I'll go through it again, councillor, but I thought because we had awkward wording, I thought we finally got it sorted out.
Yeah.
Could we just back up? You raised the question of deputy mayor. Could we have a decision tonight? Your preference would be rotating on 8 months?
That's not what I said.
But you asked for that to be amended, so I
No,
assume that was your preference.
My understanding was that these options would be presented to council at the time of the selection of deputy mayor.
You have to have one now.
Oh, we do have to, I did not understand that.
Yeah.
We're just putting one in instead of.
Yeah, we need one,
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, we need one, because the rules have to be in place before the game is played. We can't make the rules up as we're playing the game. So we need the rules ahead of time, if I can use that. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So we need to know what the rules are to become deputy mayor ahead of time. This can't be decided during the first council meeting. So we need one option.
Alright, is council prepared for that at this time, or is this something council needs to think about? I don't know that,
We need to decide tonight.
yeah. I think-
Preferably, yes, because council brought this up some time ago. So I assume people have thought about it, so then because what I want is as final draft as we can get for the second reading, so that the third reading, there aren't any issues where we may get public feedback.
Yes, and then, so I saw, so deputy mayor and then councillor Bellman.
So I did put some thought into it. I like the idea of having a vote amongst councillors for the position of deputy mayor, but since we have 2 wards, I really think it's important to have both wards have a chance at some point during the term to have the deputy mayor role. So whether that, I don't like the rotating because I find it does take a while to get used to being comfortable in the chair, but I really want to make sure that representatives of both wards. So those are kind of the rotation might be the only one that works, but it is nice to have some time to get comfortable with the position, but.
The math just said 8 months.
Yeah, so it's just whether we can, but those are my thoughts, those are the 2 pieces, I like the vote idea, but I do like having more to more both get.
Councillor Bellman?
I think we should go, if the person's elected and we have the most votes as deputy mayor, right? If the person rescinds it, then it should just go back to the next person below, and I think next highest vote. Would be an option, like, if the person rescinds, Jim would, the mayor, and he didn't want it, should we default to the next person, next highest vote, below the
So
deputy mayor.
councillor, the reason that we're looking at a different structure is because there aren't enough voters in Ward 2 for that councillor to ever be the deputy mayor with the current system we have, because there's more residents in Ward 1, so by default, the deputy mayor has always come from Ward 1, so we're trying to give Ward 2 an opportunity to sit as deputy mayor too, that's why we're looking at a different structure. Councillor Day?
I agree with you about Ward 2 having an option to being deputy mayor, because you're right, they'll never get the votes to be number 1 as we've always done it. But I also like the fact that people could rotate through during the term and have an opportunity to take on additional tasks.
Thank you. Councillor McIntosh Lawrence?
If we do rotating, can you choose not to?
That was one of my questions. I think there should be, an option in there or a process for which someone can pass that.
So we can add wording to that effect. I understand why some people may be reticent to say, oh geez, it's my turn. I think it's a wonderful experience. It'd be a shame for people to miss out on that. But we can include wording, but I think maybe, that'll have to be declared prior to that meeting, and then we'll have to redo the math because that'll be different. And then that may, speaking to Councillor Toole's point, then, doing it in 10 months is that much more experience than otherwise, but I think it's an incredible privilege to be able to be deputy mayor. Granted, I helped the mayor, learn how to chair deputy mayor a little bit, and I'm certainly going to be there, and the mayor would be there too for whoever's going to be the deputy mayor. But we can certainly include wording to that effect.
That would be Councillor Balcom, Councillor Burpee, and then Councillor Bellman.
I share the discussion. There may be some councillors, for whatever reason, who don't know why, may not physically or some other reason not wish to take on that extra responsibility. So I'm glad that provisions may be made in advance, so everybody knows that the person could pass on.
So councillor, your preference is the rotation?
Yes.
And just on that, John, we have to consider that things happen during the course of 4 years. Somebody that may be absolutely really excited about being deputy mayor in rotation 3, for whatever reason, may not be able to do that.
We're going to have to improvise.
Yeah.
But still,
Yeah, but life happens, we have to be able to fit with that with our bylaw.
16 years don't finish.
Councillor Burpee?
My preference would be to vote. This is just my opinion, but I just find it's a little bit confusing to have a deputy mayor for so long and then it changed. That's the only reason why I prefer the voting. Yeah, I guess the other reason is if there were to be a new mayor, that new mayor may not be as familiar with work ethic and all the other things that go along with a councillor's commitment. So that's why I think, with more people voting on it, you have more opinions on the personality that might be placed in the deputy mayor's position. Does that make sense?
Right. You're talking about councillor vote.
Councillor vote.
Thank you. Councillor Bellman?
I agree with Councillor Burke too, but maybe another way is if somebody else voted as council deputy mayor, maybe if they don't want to do the job, maybe the next opinion will be go to the Ward 2 person. If person doesn't want it, maybe then have a vote. I don't know, maybe just change up a little bit or your first option. If the deputy mayor doesn't want the job, maybe Ward 2 should have the offer to take it. If not, go towards the vote.
Thank you, Councillor. All right, Councillor Day?
One suggestion for rotating would be that if you did it every 8 months, if it's time to come up to the 8-month time, and the person didn't want to do it, then you could rotate through and just keep the rotation going through the whole period of time.
Right, and then the first person would just get another
Mhm.
rotation.
And that
we
would,
can manage it, yeah.
how can I put it, they would, if they had never done it, the first 8 months, they would get the experience the next time through, and also too, the further time on council, they'll have a better insight and understanding of some of the things that are going on.
So just to pull the room so that we're clear, Councillor Day, you are more in favor of the rotation?
Yep.
Councillor McIntosh Lawrence? Rotation. Deputy Mayor Toole? Rotation. Councillor Burpee, your vote, and Councillor Billmans? Vote. So, 4.
That's the majority, for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so what I heard tonight, we'll do the rotation, and we'll include language in which we'll work out a system if someone doesn't want to do it. I don't know if council agrees with Councillor Day or not, I certainly like her idea. Keep the 8-month rotation, and then maybe we get to the end, those who declined it at the beginning, do they want an opportunity to do it, and then if not, then it goes back to number 1. Is that reasonable for everybody? So we'll go with the rotation. Once that rotation is finished, those who decline, the first person to decline will get the first opportunity to go through the rotation again.
Councillor McIntosh Lawrence?
And how do you choose who goes first?
I'll probably just go by we could do it by order of vote,
Vote.
you know, but then again, you know, it's Ward 2 is gonna be last, or you just do it alphabetically.
Or you just pull names in.
Put the
Yeah.
names in a hat and pull one.
Okay, I'll include in the language that it'll be by chance, however that looks like, is that fair?
Councillor Burpee?
So what happens at the end of the term? And let's just say that, you know, the public is not in favor of all the different deputy mayors, and do you have an option to go back to maybe a voting procedure, or?
So there's probably more communities that have rotating deputy mayors than not. I don't understand why it would be an issue, because most people know the mayor, they probably don't identify the deputy mayor as the deputy mayor. Historically, it's not been an issue.
But Councillor, just as we're reviewing the procedural bylaw now, the next council will have that same
They would
motion.
have that was mentioned.
Yeah.
So
Councillor Bellman?
So we define it, so if the deputy mayor doesn't want the job, the deputy mayor gets the job automatically and keep the job if she wants or who wants it. If she doesn't want it, then you go through rotation.
Correct.
Okay, that's good.
No.
No,
No.
Yeah, no, sorry.
No.
strictly rotation.
Yeah, strictly rotation. Strictly, yeah, so I thought you meant like the first person.
Right, but I wanted to say, I think the deputy mayor, she be deputy mayor, and if she doesn't want the role, then it goes to a rotation.
Yeah,
No.
that's not what's.
Then I don't think that's fair, it's just because then the deputy mayor's not the proper recognition that she deserved or he deserves.
The rotation, is that every councillor's name goes into a hat. Every councillor has the opportunity to serve an 8-month term as deputy mayor. And in the order that name is pulled out of a hat. Should one of those councillors not want to or not be able to serve as deputy mayor, then the next person in line will serve that 8-month term as deputy mayor, and then there'll be the option for them to serve at the end should their circumstance change. John?
So I want to address Councillor Burpee's point. The way the bylaw currently reads is the next council will review this bylaw within a year. Because just as this council made changes to the agenda order, and we introduced consent agenda, I don't remember all the changes we implemented, the next council will also have an opportunity to make it their own as well. So we're based on experience, and in 2021, I'm sorry you weren't there, it was based on how do we want to work together. So the next council will be given the same opportunity.
And this feedback will be incorporated into the next draft, and there'll be a chance for further discussion at the next meeting as well. And, Are there any other questions or comments on the bylaws presented? Okay, and on,
Just one question.
yes, absolutely.
Hypothetical situation, what would happen if the deputy mayor currently, for some reason, submitted the resignation as deputy mayor for whatever reason? Still be a councillor, but as deputy mayor, what would we be doing now to fulfill that role?
My understanding is that the councillor with the next number of highest votes would then step into that position, but maybe John can
No, that's
verify.
the point.
All right, if there are no further questions or comments on that first reading, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. And we'll just one reading tonight, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, because I can imagine that there may be, however it is that we word the deputy mayor thing, so that's not quite what we meant, it's on track, but it's not quite right. So the more time we have to try.
It's basically some wordsmithing.
Yes,
You're not gonna use the term pull names out of the hat. So item 10B, GG-002, Council Code of Conduct Bylaw Amendment, first reading by title. John, I'll get you to go into this before I read the motion and then open the floor.
again, this is based on council's experience, we're just clarifying the roles and responsibilities of council. The need to determine a limit when a person, a member of the public can file a complaint. That now, if there's a complaint filed, all the CAO does is forward it to legal. And then finally, all corrective action options are present within the bylaw. And that's the menu that council would choose from if there's someone who's breached or had been non-compliant. Again, this went through legal, and corporate governance is more expensive than good governance.
Thank you. So first reading by title, GG-002, Council Code of Conduct Bylaw, that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve the first reading of GG-002, Council Code of Conduct Bylaw, with the understanding that changes will be incorporated into the next draft reflecting Council's direction. Deputy Mayor Toole, thank you. A second, Councilor Murphy. Any questions or comments on the amendment? There being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? That motion is carried, thanks. 10C, PD-009, zoning bylaw amendments, and John, I'll pass it over to you again.
Thank you. Before I turn it over to our new building inspector and development officer, one of the things that, there are two things identified, and I'll get her to speak to that, is one, we still have a barrier to investment in town, and that's the First Amendment, separating commercial and residential, and then the potential need for traffic impacts. And so I'll turn it over to Danessa, our new building inspector and development officer.
Thank you. So there's two amendments proposed for the zoning bylaw. I don't have them right now. But the first one is with regards to accessory buildings and accessory building requirements in 4.1. And those requirements are meant for residential properties. We have some commercial properties within the town, and one of them being home hardware. I think I can speak to that. Yes. They're looking to do some work, and this zoning law is it's giving them a bit of trouble, and there isn't really any reason why we should have residential requirements on these commercial properties. So we are going to help him move forward, but in that we're looking forward for other commercial properties who are potentially doing these same things and to remove that restriction on them. The second one is around traffic impact studies. Again, looking forward to what development the town is looking for, and that we would request those when we're seeing large developments in certain areas. Good?
Thank you. I will read out the motion and then open the floor to questions. First reading, PD-009, zoning bylaw amendments in its entirety. that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield, A, approve the first reading of the zoning bylaw amendments, B, refer the amendments to the planning advisory committee for review and written views, C, schedule a public hearing on November 24th, 2025 to be held at 6 p.m. in council chambers. Do I have a mover? Councillor McIntosh Lawrence, do I have a seconder? Councillor Falcon, thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion? That's great, there being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. I just want to compliment staff on their forward-thinking approach in both of these regards. Congratulations on your first presentation, Council Vanessa.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to 11, new business recommendations. 11A, capitalization of assets policy. Pass it over to the CAO.
Before I turn it over to the CFO, I just want to say that inflation keeps up with regulations as well, or exceeds regulations. And all we're trying to do is address that fact, and I'll ask the CFO to give you more details.
Thank you, yes, your worship and council. The tangible capital asset policy has been in place for a number of years. And what this policy does is helps us distinguish whether purchases belong in our capital budget or into our operating budget. If they're valued over $5,000, they fall into our capital budget. That requires us to track them on an individual basis, and they get amortized or depreciated over their useful life. This process requires a large amount of work, I would say. So what we're asking for is to revise the policy so that the threshold is $10,000, not $5,000. We've seen capital asset costs rise dramatically over recent years. So what we could buy for $5,000 in this policy was originally written is much less. So we're asking for it to be increased to $10,000. That would be in effect this year. We consulted with our auditor, and he is in support of this policy change. There's no other changes to the policy, it's just updating.
Thank you, James. Yeah, we'll read the motion over the floor. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve the revised tangible capital asset policy. Do I have a mover? Deputy Mayor Toole, thank you. Do I have a second? Councilor Murphy, thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. 11B, PMHP letter, award for designated highway. John?
Thank you, Your Worship. This is for work just north of Cherry Road around the bend. It's a couple of hundred meters or more, and it's mainly curb and gutter work. If you remember those properties on the east side, they do tend to flood on occasion. Works have had to go out there and put sandbags down, and this is to address all that issues. Further, the roadway will be widened a little bit. There'll be a sidewalk, curb and gutter, but in the meantime, it'll be safer for bikes. It's our understanding it's not going to quite meet the requirement to be a bike lane, but it will be significantly wider than it is. So will it improve safety? Yes. Will it be a bike lane? We don't think it meets the requirements for that.
Thank you, John. I'll read the motion and open the floor. Pardon? Yeah, well, I haven't read the motion yet. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield award the construction contract for designated highway 2025 Grand Bay-Westfield NB project number 25-1839 to Galbraith Construction Limited with a revised tender submission of $288,250, HST included. Do I have a motion? Councillor Bailman, so I have a second. Councillor Falcon and Councillor Falcon.
Thank you. Just for clarification, to the CAO, the sidewalk that is currently there, that's the asphalt one, correct?
That's right.
And that will be replaced with a concrete
Yes.
along with the curb cut. Thank you.
Again, overlay drainage is the big issue.
Any other questions or comments on the motion? Councillor Bellins?
If the curb and gutter be on the north side, going on the left-hand side going north, or on the right-hand side?
The east side, which is the right side going north.
And the side, the other side, okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? There being none, I'm sorry. I just want to comment.
So so it's gonna be a cement sidewalk,
Yes.
and there's no way we can incorporate like the road and then grass and then a
Well-
sidewalk, bike.
We're also restricted by what DTI allows us to do, and then the property line of the property owner. So we've got we don't think it's quite 1.4 meters, that's the requirement for a bike lane. We're over a meter, but it's not quite 1.4.
I just think going forward, improving or building new roads, we should really consider putting a standalone sidewalk or bike lane if we can.
Totally appreciate that, councillor. It's also a question of affordability, because that means that the roadway is that much wider. Usually they're around 8 meters. You're asking us to put on almost an extra 3 meters. And what, I shared with the mayor today, just a linear meter, which is, so the approximate price is 1 extra meter for bike lanes would be $140 approximately for each meter that we're going forward. So in our overall budget, we're trying to stretch our pennies as far as we can.
Do you have a follow-up, Councillor? Thank you. Any further questions or comments? There being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. To the CEO, when does this work commence?
It's supposed to be completed by November 15th, I think. So I don't know when they're actually gonna do it, but I think the contract stipulates has to be done by then. And Wallace will start on October 25th.
Alright, thank you. Item 11B, GNB get grant allocations. Pass that over to the CEO.
Yeah, I'm having computer problems, your worship, stuff doesn't always load for me, I'm sorry. It opened up the wrong one. I don't have that report here, your worship, I'm sorry. I don't know why I don't have it.
Yeah, it's it's not in the combined kit, it's probably as an independent item.
Okay, so the GMB grant, just broadly speaking, normally this type of information I bring to council in the consent agenda. The GMB shared with us how much money they're giving us. The reason I have it as a receive and file on the agenda is because it's less than what we were anticipating. The province had told us to expect about $220,000, and then there'd be more on top of that. We got less than $220,000, and I just want to make sure that council is aware that yet again, we suffered a cut. And then when you look at this closely, when they talk about looking ahead for the 25% at $0, we're gonna have $0 in this grant stream in 2029. So the next council, in their 27, 28, 29 budget are gonna lose $220,000. So this is why I made it as a receive and file rather than a consent agenda item, was to ensure council knew, and members of the who may just skip over the consent agenda, that we have some serious issues that the next council needs to address. Sorry, Your Worship. And then the same thing with the assessment base. We've been talking about it being frozen. Again, that's why it's not in the consent agenda. Other years, it would be in the consent agenda. This has a big impact on us for multiple years. At least 2 councils are gonna have to deal with the outcomes of these decisions here.
Thanks, John. Yeah, so if that's it's in the consent agenda, not, we just scoot down to there. Allocation by entity. There's no allocation. So our fiscal capacity fund for the town of Bay-Westfield for 2026 is 217,517. And capital renewal funding, which is net new dollars, you can't use it on everything, you can't use it to pay your power bill or anything like that, but we can apply it to existing infrastructure. It's $228,915. The total combined allocation for 2026 are $446,432. And just as a reminder for council, we lost $335,000 in 2021, so we're still behind. The fiscal capacity funding is meant to attempt to fill that gap that has occurred with declining government grants over the last 25 to 30 years. And the capital renewal funding is meant to help deal with the $2.5 billion infrastructure deficit that exists across the province of New Brunswick. So we're not much further ahead here, particularly in the context of the assessment freeze for 2026. Just, so it looks like there's a lot more money, but when you look in the rearview mirror there's not a whole lot. Council remembers that the town of Bay-Westfield and every other municipality, for the most part, New Brunswick is 85% reliant on property taxes for their overall revenue. So, and not only that, but approximately, the CFO can correct me on this, we're about 80 to 82% fixed costs within our budget.
At least.
At least, so not a whole lot of room to move there. So with that, I will, the motion is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield receive and file this information. Do I have a mover? Councillor Malcolm. Do I have a second? Deputy Mayor Tour. Any discussion on the item? Questions, comments? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? That motion is carried. 11D is GNB assessment base. CEO referenced a little bit about that before. That because the assessment freeze, there was no true market growth within the assessment base this year. Any growth had to do with with sales and new construction. So our growth was 1.5%, which equals about $114,000. Which, you know, if you listen to what the CEO said about asphalt a little bit earlier, doesn't equate to much asphalt. I think I did calculations a couple of months ago on what it would cost to pave 100 meters of road, and that, you know, that might just get us 100 meters of road. So a standard, 8-meter wide municipal street. So, John.
Just more information around the assessment base for council. Excuse me. There are 105 requests for review on their assessment. 40% were successful. The total value of the reduction was $1.4 million. So the CFO and I had seen some of this information coming in 2 reports ago, I think. And that's where we brought in the policy that would trigger the town reviewing the situation and potentially filing an appeal. James and I both saw this coming down the chute. And then likewise, the assessment base for the non-residential property has declined $300,000, I think it is, something like that. So, I had emailed SNB assessment agency this morning or this afternoon, and a preliminary answer was provided that I thought was unsatisfactory, but in that email she did commit to following up and finding out more why so much was lost. Just anecdotally around the office, we cannot figure out what businesses have closed, if any. We don't recall any closing down. Chinese restaurant, that's this year, not this time period. Yeah, so we're kind of scratching our heads trying to figure out what happened on the non-residential side.
Thanks, John. So I'll get the motion on the table and open the floor. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file this information. Do I have a mover? I got Councillor Balcom, Deputy Mayor Toole. Any discussion, questions, comments on the item? There being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. 11E, fleet management policy, and I'll pass that over to the CEO.
Thank you. Over the summer, we informed council that we had one vehicle that was out of commission for 6 months, and the repair bill was around $50,000, I think. Anyway, so we committed at that time to bring a new fleet management policy. So really what we want to do is extend the useful life of our vehicles and equipment through preventative maintenance and monitoring, reduce overall fleet operating costs. It's just been killing us the last couple of years. We want to ensure safe, reliable, and efficient use of fleet assets. As an example, I think we have more reliable snowplows, we'd have less complaints. As an example that you would see that. We want to align fleet decision-making with our own asset management plan, improve data tracking, reporting, accountability. And really what we're trying to do is reduce unplanned capital outlays like that snowplow we have. Want to lower operating costs. Is there something we can do to leverage cooperative purchasing programs like Canoe as an example? And then one of the things we want to do, I think we've mentioned to council that our reserves are still inadequate. I cringe frankly every time that we have to borrow money to purchase a vehicle. There's no way we should be paying interest on a piece of equipment like that. We really need to get that to a level where we don't have to go to the borrowing board just to buy a truck. So that's our long-term goal. The other significant change in that policy is, historically what I'm used to using is X number of kilometers, X number of years. Usually it's X number of years because municipal vehicles don't go anywhere. So they never build up the kilometers. However, hard use happens with, say, a snowfall or a hole in something, you never know. So, the triggers aren't based on years, but they're based on maintenance costs and things like that.
Thank you, John. So the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield adopt the fleet management policy for the Public Works Department as presented in this report, effective immediately, and that staff be directed to implement the policy as part of the town's broader asset management and fiscal planning framework. Do I have a motion? Councillor Bailman, thank you. Do I have a second? Councillor McIntosh-Lawrence. Any questions or comments on the motion? Councillor?
Just one question. I don't know the history of the town's maintenance department and if they undercoat pieces of equipment, not just vehicles. But I think I'm correct in saying that with a brand new vehicle, where we have acquired a couple new vehicles recently, something like a Crown or a Z-Bark or something undercoating could void the warranty. But after that warranty period is over with, has the town ever considered undercoating to stretch that usable life by 2 or 3 more years? I know it works with my car.
So actually, the works, I don't remember his title, Works Public Works Superintendent, I forgot his title, I'm sorry. He did answer that question to council in the last 2-3 months, that yes, they are everything is undercoated every year. Previously, 10 years was the mark for vehicles, but the expenses, it's, with some of the maintenance costs, it's cheaper for us to take on payments, which I still cringe at, rather than continue to pour good money after that. But yes, Chris did say that, yes, he undercoats everything every year.
Thank you. Councillor Bellman?
Councilor Belton mentioned they have to approve the warranty after how many years or 2 years, the cars, or?
That's my speculation. I haven't had a new car in many years, but I've heard others say that if one sprays an aftermarket substance on a brand new car, it may void the original rust warranty that's on the
I haven't read his most recent tender, but when I first came here, when I read one of the tenders, the manufacturer was responsible for that.
But that's my question, lead to, does mean we bought it from the company or the dealer, to undercoat it and have it uncoated?
Yes.
Under that, yes. Good, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. 11F, Comfort Center Policy. We pass that over to the fire chief.
Well, I'll just do it. Yeah, we're just trying to make it clear when and when not the comfort center policy, the comfort centers are open. And I'll turn it over to the chief to give you more detail.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. As you're aware, we have opened comfort centers in the past. This is not a new thing for us. But what this policy does is lay out, as the CEO mentioned, kind of a defined method of when, what services we'll provide so that people know what they can expect. And as you'll see in the policy, there's kind of flow charts that say meet all or match all the criteria with the appropriate times to open and not to open, even though it may look like it's the appropriate time to open one. It may simply be a matter of reaching out to see if there's actually a need. So, for example, when there's an extended power outage that affects very few people, the opening of a comfort center is not a wise investment, I guess. Nobody attending. So this kind of hopefully addresses all of those issues and sets a clear path for expectations in the future.
Thank you, chief. So the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve the comfort center policy as presented. Do I have a mover? Councillor Balcom, seconder Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. Any questions or comments on the motion? Councillor Melvin, did you have your hand up?
No, I'm just still curious. So the comfort center is for people with the power outages and have the whole town's out. How would we relay the message out to people that are open, or do we have a saying we're going, this place is open when the power's out, or what is the?
So typically a power outage doesn't necessarily mean that people don't still have access. Self-coverage would typically still work. You are right, obviously, people who don't have power, it's a little bit more challenging to get those messages to them.
Could we have a standard thing that if your power's out, then just goes?
Well, that'd be the other item here is that the advantage of having a policy such as this is it puts that policy in the public so that people can be aware that yes, this is a service available. So they know basically to look for it as well.
That's good, thank you.
John?
Just for clarity to the council's question, say half the town needs comfort, the policy does stipulate that people may be rotated out, so there's an element of equitability in the use of the comfort center.
Any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. 11G, building inspector appointment. Pass it over to the CEO again.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is just to formally appoint our building inspector and development officer as building inspector. She doesn't need to be appointed as development officer because that is completed by Jamie Burke, our consultant with Stantec, who's both planning director and development officer. And the legislation does state that the town can hire someone to act in the role of development officer, but that stuff is signed off by the planning director / development officer.
Thank you. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield appoint Vanessa Pollock as the town's building inspector. Do I have a mover? Deputy Mayor Toole, thank you. Do I have a second? Councillor Bailmans, thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion? Thought maybe Councillor Balcom as our
Just
councillor
one,
of TAC.
welcome to the town and to the position. We look forward, and speaking on behalf of PAC as well, working with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Any questions or comments on the motion? Or being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried, and I will echo the councillor. Welcome to the team. 11H, council appointments. And, are you taking that one, John?
Well, I'll launch it and then I'll get our recreation program coordinator to speak to it. Woo-hoo moment, we had 4 youth sign up for it, and I'll let our recreation program coordinator give you the details.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Council. So as you know, we have our youth council that operates in an advisory capacity to council based on youth activity and needs within the community. We're very fortunate to have 2 students from last year training with us. Enya and Jamie did a fantastic job. We received 4 new applications this year, all with promising backgrounds and interests in the youth council. Kyle Jeckard is a grade 10 student, Max March grade 9, Carly Evans grade 11, and Liam Paul grade 10, covering Carview High School and St. John High School were the applications. We're looking to kick off their first meeting next week. We're going to really focus this year on time spent working together in the council setting for them to be able to develop new projects or activities within the community. So it's an exciting time. Thank you.
That's great, Alex, thank you. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield accept the following new members to the youth council of Grand Bay-Westfield. Kyle Jeckard, grade 10, Harborview High School. Maddox March, grade 9, St. John High School. Carly Evans, grade 11, Harborview High School. Liam Paul, grade 10, Harborview High School. Do I have a mover? Councillor McIntosh Lawrence, do I have a second? Councillor Berkey, thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion? Maybe from Councillor Berkey, who has led the youth council in the past?
Yes, I would just like to welcome back the 2 that I had the pleasure of working with last year, so I'm excited for them, and I'm also excited to meet the new 4 on Tuesday night, I think? Yeah. So congrats to them.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, and this is exciting. This is the 2nd year of youth council, and I want to offer my heartfelt congratulations to the newly appointed members, and also excited to see our returning members come back as well. I'm really proud of this program and how it's growing and what it represents, and the energy and the curiosity and the leadership each one of those kids brings to the table, and just that perspective that, you know, we don't have, but they do. It's very important, and youth council, like, to me, represents something really, really important. That understanding that civic engagement needs to start early, and that the voice of our youth matter. I mean, I've always said that, and the more time I spend around my own kids and their friends, the more convinced of that I am. You know, on certain things, maybe not what they put for dinner, but you know what I'm talking about. And the perspectives that these youth, these people, these future leaders are going to share, are going to help us see our community through fresh eyes, which I know sometimes we need, fresh, different eyes, a whole different lens. That'll help challenge us to think maybe a little bit differently about things, and remind us what's possible when we choose to listen to each other. So I'm really excited for Youth Council 2.0. With that, we'll move on to item 12, bills for payment, and the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield authorize the October 14th, 2025 bills for payment as presented in the amount of $175,199.11. And do I have a mover for that? Councillor Burpee, and there's a second from Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. Any questions or comments on that motion? Councillor Bellmans?
Do I excuse myself, I stand on here, do I excuse myself from the vote, or?
No.
No? Okay.
Thank you for asking that question, Councillor. Any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? That motion is carried, thanks. Item 13, consent agenda. 13A, strategic plan quarter 3 report. B, letter Canada Post. C, letter MB Power. D, letter review of regional services delivery model. E, letter sponsorship request rugby. F, letter UMNB structure. G, letter STSS accreditation, Grand Bay-Westfield Cloud Rescue. H, Fire Rescue Department monthly reports, July to September. I, Animal Control monthly report, September. J, DTI maintenance agreement. K, DTI payment schedule. L, notice of allocation, assessment base for taxation, M, building report September, and consent agenda. The motion is the council of the town of Bay-Westfield receive and file the consent agenda items for October 14th, 2025. And do I have a mover? Councillor Bellman, thank you. Second, Councillor Burpee. Any questions or comments on the motion?
Yes, Your Worship, this is the first time I think that during the consent agenda, I have a number of questions and I don't know if that's appropriate or not during the consent agenda.
Yeah, so what the process is we'll pull those items out and vote on them separately. So which items would you like to pull out of the consent agenda?
It would be the strategic plan, keep the third quarter report.
Okay, so 13A, pull out. And is there anything else? That's just
That's all.
Is that okay with the mover and seconder? Okay, that's good. So let's vote on the consent agenda and then we'll discuss 13A. Any other questions or comments? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Consent agenda item 13A, strategic plan quarter 3 report. I'm just gonna read the motion and then we'll open it up, okay? The motion is the council of the town of Bay-Westfield receive and file consent agenda item 13A for October 14th, 2025. And do I have a mover for that? Councillor Bellman, thank you, and then the seconders, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. Any questions or comments on the motion?
Thank you, Your Worship. We receive these quarterly reports every quarter, so sometimes they get put on the back burner, and this is why I'm bringing them forward now. I just have a couple of update questions to ask. The first is with regard to the Britain Road Bridge flooding mitigation proposal that it is mentioned. I'm just wondering, and maybe this has been answered before and I forgot, but why is the town getting an estimate for that road? And that road, my understanding is currently being maintained by DTI. Is this in anticipation of the town possibly down the road being asked to take over that? So we'll do one at a time.
Okay, we'll do one at a time, we'll go through them.
Councillor, that road actually belongs to the town, the portion where we got the estimate for. It's on the west side of the river, the west side of the bridge. So that's town responsibility. Councillor Burpee requested that shortly after amalgamation that, could we do something? And we said, well, we already had an estimate of the work that would be required. So what we did is we forwarded that to the consulting engineering company of the day. And we never did it. And then Councillor Burpee reminded him 2 months ago when we met. I forgot, we met in the summer sometime. And I said, well, it's on my task list to do for the autumn. And so I sent it off to GemTech on Monday, and they got it back to me on Thursday.
Fantastic.
So the, my recollection is that the cost of doing that has gone up around 33%. And but that's not just inflation, that's also because when we did the flood mitigation, we raised the level for new builds, and that incorporates that in there, an extra 1.3 meters or something like
That explains, thank you very much. So all bridges are DTI's responsibility.
that. This is the approach?
Yeah, this is the approach, and then on the other side of the bridge, that is when it becomes DTI's.
That's right.
My misunderstanding, misinterpretation, so that's a good clarification, thank you.
And the next one?
It mentions that building permits are behind schedule. I fully understand why with changes in staffing and other issues. Is there any tally right now of how many are in the queue and what the longest one that's in the queue has been in the queue?
So, just to answer some context around that, we had very quick support after the former development medical leave. We had a gap of a handful of days, but I'm very pleased with the work that the Works Commissioner did and that Planning Director did. So there were no fires that our new person inherited. But to answer specifically your question, the number of permits to date so far is 56. And the oldest one is on Colonel Nays Boulevard, townhouses, dates back to October 10th, 2024, so it's about a year old. And I think they're effective for 18, 24 months, depending on the project. I forgot.
You can't discontinue construction from one system, this is what going down on some, but when, sorry.
No, go ahead and answer.
For clarification, are you asking in the queue as in something that has been applied for and not processed? Is that what you meant by the
Correct.
queue?
Correct.
Yeah, we don't have anything.
Fantastic news. Just wanted to make sure that the
Yes.
hiccups that we had isn't deterring development.
No,
No, it's not.
no, I just want to express to council my appreciation to the Works Commissioner. He really stepped up to the plate and exceeded expectations. He did an awesome job.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks, Luke. Thank you. 3 more. It makes mention about the Peace Park that due to the fact that the town has not received confirmation yet from the Regional Development Corporation, and at this late in time, the work can't be done anyway. Also, I would suspect that there isn't any more money left, so the Legion branch number 22 is developing an alternative, much lower cost plan, but it makes mention in the strategic plan that it's the Lions Club.
I was probably just working on something that they did and then just took that in wrong, Councillor, my apologies.
No problem. The next one is flashing lights at the Ferry Road and Erebus Road crossing. It makes mention in there that we're waiting for Transport Canada's portal to open up. I thought we had a working group that had met a few times, but maybe I'm misinformed. The town, DTI, Transport Canada, and Southern Brunswick Railway, and if they haven't met at all, can they still not meet to discuss it without having the portal open?
So, no, because we need the portal to get the funding, we have a plan. We need the opportunity to apply for funding, so that's all that's been.
So the plan has been created.
That's my understanding, yes.
Could we get confirmation of that for the next meeting?
I'll have to ask the Works Commissioner for that.
That would be great to have. If that's the case, I'm very happy with that.
My understanding, just waiting for funding, Council, that's why we can't move forward.
That's right, and if I can add some context to that one, we recently sent a letter to Minister Christian Freeland regarding the portal and the fact that we're waiting for the portal to open so we can access the funding, so that we can move forward with that project.
And finally, mutual aid agreement with the St. John Fire Department for the use of their ladder truck. I don't know what date that we initiated officially that particular request. It seems like something that should not take an awful long time, but my concern, I'll be very frank with you, is that it may be preventing some potential developers who might want to build greater densification through higher buildings in the town. And I don't know if it's legal departments or what, but it would be great to bring that forward and everybody have a goal of December 31st of this year to get that signed. We can even have the party.
So, Councilor, we've been working on this, I think it's about 18 months. It's the legal department, not our legal department. And for them, it's not as much of a priority as it is for us. Councilor, we really, and I want to assure you, I have spoken to my colleague at the city about this. And he said, well, they're working on this, we're working on that. And I understand that. But as you said, it's not a big agreement. No, but I think the mayor has a more recent update than mine.
Yeah, no, I've been following this as well, and every time I hound the poor fire chief, have you heard, no, it's still illegal. So I made a call to the mayor and the deputy mayor of the city of St. John I said, can you please find out where we are with this, because it's holding up development here. It's holding up potential investment here. And so they spoke with staff. It was under a pile of stuff that they considered higher priority to put on the top of the pile. So I will continue to stay on that file to make sure that it stays on the top of the pile, gets done.
Thank you, Your Worship, and that's it.
Thank you very much. All right, so with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. I have to thank Councillor Malcolm for going through that enormous report.
I just want to say, this is the first time I remember getting questions on that before.
Yeah, no, it shows real commitment to the job. It's a lot of work, so. All right, we'll move on to item 14, council reports, and we can start with Councillor Day, please.
Age Friendly, I attended their meetings and we're doing a review of the Age Friendly program at our next meeting. And we're going to invite a potential new person to that meeting so that they get an understanding of what we're all about and then decide if they really want to join us. Fiberfest is back and running, but we've changed location because of the lighting. We're going back to the River Valley Room. And for those in the community who have not been to the River Valley Room for a while, you should see the new kitchen update and the whole update of that room. It is wonderful. And it's really nice to see the carpeting gone, nice flooring, the lighting, and now the new kitchen. So hats off to Rick and Alex for making that happen and whoever else was involved. I got to attend the Mahone Bay Scarecrows, and that has grown over the years, and so we might want to do witches through the community because the number of people drawn to Mahone Bay while I was there was unreal. And that's great for restaurants and businesses and the whole 9 yards. And it's still going on. In fact, I see it all the time on Facebook. And when it first started, there wasn't that many scarecrows. But boy, I'll tell you, there's a pile of them now. So one of my family members had a scarecrow made with a Scottish kilt, and I thought that was hilarious. Savoy Baskets is coming October 25th for a basket weaving program through Age Friendly and Fiberfest, and we didn't know if it was gonna go or not, but we have a full program. And there are people who are upset because they didn't get registered as fast as they should have. So I'm going to be talking to her about doing it in the spring, part of Age Friendly.
That's great.
That's it for us.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor McIntosh.
On September 23rd, I attended the monthly RBCC meeting. On the 26th, we had myself and Councillor Burpee and Rec, we had a meeting about some new lighting ideas at Unity Park. October 2nd, we had our Community Vitality Committee meeting, which I attended virtually, and we just talked about and put the finishing touches on Fall Fest. October 3rd to 5th was our Union of Municipalities of New Brunswick annual general meeting. And this year it was actually in St. John, so it was nice to have it in our region, and the rest of the province comes to this region and sees what we have to offer. And there were multiple amazing talks throughout the weekend as well. And on October 6th, the Community Vitality Committee met at Unity Park to decorate it for fall photo op.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Your Worship. All I did was attend the Youth and Municipalities 3-day AGM and workshops, and it was very informative. It was great to overhear some of the delegates from the northern part of the province talk about the 3 cruise ships that were in that day and the largest container ship in the background. It was nice to hear that. It makes one feel proud. I'd also like to just briefly comment on and thank actually our communications department. The lovely picture of the town's first standalone tower crane. I drive Colonel-Ace Boulevard as often as I can, and I know there's a huge building boom on to address the housing shortage across the country, and we're experiencing part of that. But every time I drive along Colonel-Ace Boulevard now, I'm convinced that our council in the early stages, and thank them for having the courage for eliminating as quickly as we could the frontage fees, for also changing bylaws to encourage densification and make it easier for developers to build, especially multi-unit buildings, and also for us taking the effort to apply for the Housing Accelerator Fund. That in turn gave us over $1 million that we can now incentivize our developers to build multi-unit units anywhere in the town. So if you haven't driven by Colonel-Ace Boulevard lately, take a drive. It's we're on the move, and I encourage the new council next year from now to keep on the same track and keep the momentum going. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Toole.
Kind of just a repeat, but I did go attend most of the annual conference at AGM for UMMB, which was great. And I'm happy this year I wasn't able to attend last year, so this was nice to be back. And the only other thing I have that might be a little different, with the mayor and Councillor Martin and Councillor Burpee, we got to attend a photo op with the EV chargers that are in place in town, so you'll see those around. And we actually had a good shout out, I think it was shared by our communications department with us and another, I think I saw it on LinkedIn, another council in Ontario was giving a shout out for having EV chargers in our town, so that's another sign of progress.
Thank you. And so we've got Councillor Burke.
Thank you, Your Worship. September 26th, this is gonna sound very similar to Councillor McIntosh Lawrence's report, but so the 26th, we had a meeting on Unity Park lighting, and the 29th, I attended the First Nations Stories with David Smith for Truth and Reconciliation Day, and it got very dark very fast, which was just actually set a nice mood. Then on October the 2nd, community vitality meeting, just again finishing up Fall Fest planning. October 3rd, 4th, and 5th at the UMNB AGM conference, which I always enjoy those conferences. My favorite part is actually listening when people get up to the microphones and ask the real questions. And lots of times, you know, the panel is in the hot seat, and they all do a good job of explaining and answering, and so that's my favorite part, and I was really happy that I was in St. John this year. October 6th, at Unity Park, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence, Tracy Parker, and this year we had help from the Westfield Pathfinders and Rangers setting up the fall display for the photo op at Unity Park. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bellman.
Well, just the two things, I had a focus meeting on the first month and I attended the UNB meeting. That's all for me.
Councillor. Alright, it's my turn, so, September was, well, it's always busy this time of year, pre-budget, with all of the meetings and everybody, you know, getting back and swinging things after the summer. I attended the Port Community Liaison Committee meeting. They had a presentation from NB7 on the impacts of rail, the future impacts of rail. So obviously that's a concern to have a Grand Bay-Westfield and everybody that lives here. I think everybody is in favor of growth, but we have to make sure that it's managed growth and that it doesn't overly impact our quality of life or our public safety. I attended the Envision St. John Regional Immigration Strategy launch. I had the privilege of participating in a video on newcomer attraction and retention with this St. John Newcomer Center. Celebrated the YMCA, their 10th anniversary of their, we still call it the new building, but I guess at 10 years old is not so new anymore. I was invited to the change of command ceremony at the HMCS Brunswicker, so congrats to the new commander and great thanks to the outgoing commander. Had a meeting with the St. John Chamber of Commerce, the Greater St. John Chamber of Commerce here in their attempt to maintain connection and outreach, which is a little easier these days because that's my sister, for those who do know. So that was kind of nice having that meeting. Again, the level 2 chargers, the Aviva Charge for Change program, that's going to be huge. Having those 5 new chargers here in town, that's pretty cool stuff. And heading into October, I had the Thunder Regional Service Commission Regional Transportation Committee meeting. It's a little different this time because we went out to Chris Pamsis and Ross say they've invested in a pilot project there called KB Go. So we rode the bus and learned a little bit about the program they have going on there. Had the monthly FRSC meeting. Again, like everybody else, did the UMNB annual conference in AGM, which is a huge weekend for everybody, and very excited to have it here in the region. And you're right, Councillor, St. John really looked beautiful for everybody that came across the province who maybe hadn't been to St. John for a while. It's like St. John pulled out all the stops. They had cruise ships, they had 600 Mrs. Ropers, they had everything. And the weather was spectacular. So I'm very happy for the city and the region for that success. Been working with very busy with SCM and UMNB as a member of the Property Tax Overhaul Advisory Group, working very hard to make sure the property tax overhaul benefits as many people as possible while still making sure that municipalities are financed in the way they need to be financed to provide the services we must provide. And that's pretty much it for me for now. And with that, we will move on to item 15, business arising from committee of the whole. There being none, we will move on to item 16, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Councillor Berkey, thank you. A second? I said nobody wants to go home? Rachel, thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded. The motion is, I guess I actually didn't read the motion. That the council of the town of Bay-Westfield adjourn the meeting at 8:22 p.m. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, everybody.